Good evening. We'll call to order this meeting of the MSAD 49 Board of School Directors. I'll do the roll call. Ms. Booton? Here. Boyden? Here. Caverly?
Here.
Davis Folsom?
Here.
Ms. Dumont is unable to be here. Katie Flood?
Here.
Tim Flood? Heather Hussey? Here. Stu Kinley?
Here.
Mr. Knox? Here. Ms. Kugelmeyer?
Here.
Ms. Lambert is unable to be here tonight, and Mr. Roy. Mr. Roy White. Yeah. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda this evening is approval of the November 21st meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Kara and seconded by Danielle to accept the minutes of the November 21st, 2019 board meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? 8. Opposed? Abstained? 801. The next item on the agenda is citizen input. If there's anyone here who has something to talk about that is related to an item on this evening's agenda, we would welcome your comments. No? Seeing none. We have nothing listed under old business. Under new business, the Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. This is presented as subject to the limitations set in Title I, Section 402, Subsection 3, Paragraph L of the main statutes. Basically what that is it limits how much we're actually able to provide for public information about what our emergency preparedness plan is. But what went out in your board packet is what we can provide, and Mrs. Hersom can update us.
And very specifically, it's a records describing security plans, and that's exactly what it is. Earlier this year in October, I think it was the October 17th board meeting, we had a presentation by the SRO, Lori Faulkner, to review the plan, some of the software we purchased for early notification, and discussion about generally the substance of the plan, that it's intact. And talked about some of the professional development, the training that we've engaged the staff with. Following that meeting, support staff received some training similar to the teaching track that we did relating to active shooter training and their various job assignments and scenarios. So what you have before you is relates to one of the duties of a school board. We have a policy relating to this, which just charges the superintendent for ensuring that such a plan exists and that we prepare and train and practice building students. It outlines the general categories listed there. And again, you can't have too much detail about the substance of the plan. It was reviewed by a member of the Kennebec Emergency Management team, and I think I may have mentioned that to you earlier, and got high marks for its thoroughness, completeness. It is routinely updated, I can assure you that, and we work very closely with administration and staff. And again, we just wrapped up earlier, November now, the last of our fall drills that included evacuations and lockdown drills, and we'll conduct some more drills in the spring. Of course, fire drills are also part of that. One of the things in the plan that we didn't necessarily divulge, but there's a very thorough plan for reunification if there is some event, and that is very well articulated. So I can ensure you the pieces in place. And if you have some more questions, please come see me. I'd be glad to share more of the substance of that with you.
I would entertain a motion to approve the MSAD 49 Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan.
So moved.
Second.
By Danielle and seconded by Katie to approve the MSAD 49 Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. Any discussion? All in favor? 9. Opposed? Abstained? 0. And for resignations, we have Rebecca Morgan, Ed Tech 1, retirement in June of 2020. Under appointments, I would entertain a motion to approve the superintendent offering the 2019-2020 co-curricular position to Shauna Robinson as JV girls field hockey coach. So moved. Moved by
Second.
Heather, seconded by Kara. Any discussion? It has been moved and seconded to approve the superintendent offering the 2019-2020 co-curricular position to Shauna Robinson as JV girls field hockey coach. All in favor? 9. Opposed? Abstained? 9-0-0. And I would entertain a motion to approve the superintendent offering the position of MSAD 49 Business Office Accounting Coordinator to Corey Willard.
So moved.
Moved by Danielle.
Second.
Seconded by Neil. Any discussion? Do you want to?
Could I share a little bit?
Absolutely.
Because at our last meeting, we approved the transfer of the individual who currently is employed in that capacity. Corey has an associate's degree from University of Maine in Augusta in Liberal Studies. Her work experiences included 4-year capital investment group, Weston Associates in Apex Property Management, and has worked in accounts receivable, payable, processing vendor invoices, project management. Because I know one of those central responsibilities, having worked with our current person, is grant management, and there are very tight specifications on how we spend money and manage that whole federal program. Bank reconciliations, QuickBooks, assisting. There is a job description on file if you're interested, but assisting administrators with their use of ADS and financial reports, which is really new work for our building principals in this next cycle. So that's a vital support for some of our staff. But anyway, are there further questions about the position of the person? Okay, thank you.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the superintendent offering the position of MSAD 49 Business Office Accounting Coordinator to Corey Willard. All in favor? 9. Any opposed or abstained? Okay, committee reports. Finance has not met again since our previous meeting.
Education Committee met on the 25th. We had a presentation on school-based health centers done by a local group of individuals. They're hoping to set one up within the district at the high school. And this is because the RFP will be coming out shortly from the state. They believe in the beginning of January. So what we're doing is having discussions within the Education Programs Committee. At our next meeting, we will be deciding if we're bringing it forward to the whole board for them to have a presentation. At this moment, the only cost to the district would be the rooms in which they would have to use and the maintenance of that at this moment. So hopefully we'll have some more information come the next meeting. We also discussed the NEASC, and overall it was a positive process, and the full report will be available this spring. We did not go over the district calendar because we put it on hold to wait for Mid-Maine Tech Center. to establish their calendar. We did have a discussion about multi-age classrooms and classroom sizes, especially for the elementary schools, but right now we're still just in the discussion phase and going forward with the board priority list. So our next meeting will be December 9th at 6 p.m. at the Lawrence Junior High School. We're going to finish up the school-based health center conversation, and we'll actually be doing the assessing the bus schedule and looking at that, which wasn't done last year.
Negotiations?
So we started negotiations with EdTech Careers. We have agreed upon ground rules, and we've set our next 3 meetings.
And we need more volunteers for policies.
We
And a
surely
chair.
do. We'll also need a chair, and I keep coming back to that. So right now, Katie and Katrina are on that committee. But if any of you want to be involved, please, you're welcome.
May abandon
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
No, for professional reasons, I feel I need to learn more about my business.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to be on multiple.
It's not that it's a bad committee, it's a nice committee.
And we do have some work to do with, the September 19th bits of legislation, but something to think about. So that leaves Katrina right now by herself. Please.
As she's not here, please
Yeah,
like
she's
her chair.
right.
It's already been signed, so anyway, thank you.
You're up next, the superintendent's
Okay.
report.
All right. So, first of all, the auditor today, that report should be to us soon. Your bound copies will be available January 2nd. There were no findings in the report. Good news, and we've already scheduled Craig Costello to be here for our January 16th board meeting to review that with you. So again, I'll share them with you on the 2nd. They're available. Get them, chance to kind of review and prepare questions that you might respectively have of him. Jenny and I met this morning with Scott Brown and the rest of the committee, well, with the exception of the architect who wasn't present. But I think we've identified committee members for the selection committee. Stu has volunteered, and Roy and Neil, and I hear Katrina has agreed. So we'll have a board member from each of the towns, and just, we'll work on naming our building committee probably in January, and working that out. We've not received any information from any of the architects. Of course, the due date is not until the 13th, and I heard today, and you probably know more, that we haven't received anything yet. We have set up a couple of segments of the DOE's time for the selection committee. So if you could think about being available either, it's hard to look around what we schedule. December 16th, December 12th at 9, or 10 in the morning. Then December 16th at 1. It's close to the holiday, but even with those dates, don't look for the week or look at finding something else, because I think it would be helpful for all of us to sit down and do it. Particularly part of that group is the guidelines for vetting and reviewing. It's a very tight process. So you have to be so I think that would be helpful. And in regard to our progress on the project, we have time to go here and learn more about it. I do know we talked a little more about once we decide on some of their work may take a good year, would be to assess the capacity of the buildings that exist and what we have right now, and that's important. So nothing's been determined yet on what it's going to be. that is something that will be worth our while. And he also talked about these terms and possible and maintaining buildings that we currently have and projecting out. I mean, you can see where we've been, but in the future, maybe 10 years out, where we're at as far as, looking at what it would cost to maintain what is existing. And, that may change once we get the concept approval to you. We talked about financial setup needing to take place fairly soon, maybe in January, early January. Talked about, the transparency of the process, and we all understand that, and engaging with our communities. I will work on setting up a link on the banner page of our website. We intend to put the big PDF, Jenny's little, yes, thank you.
Yes.
And
We are here.
You're there.
In between 3 and 4, there are steps that don't show. So we're way back here.
We're gonna make you a T-shirt.
I know.
That, so Jenny's like, we're here, here,
Well,
only
we
here.
talked about, can we have a moving arrow to show where we are? So that we can put it on the website and say, this is where we are, this is how much more we have to go.
You're just barely a glimmer in your parents' eye.
Right, we're way back here.
Yes, he did say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would be helpful, and of course, the first committee will post up there are the members that we just named. But it is important to be clear about where we're at and what our next steps are as we know them. Is there more that you want to add to that?
No, well, I always like to add more. So we're in between steps 3 and steps 4. Step 3 was the project priority list, which the State School Board Association announced based on the DOE. And step 4 is designer selection. So this doesn't tell you that in between you meet with the DOE and that you go out for an RFP for design services, and what those design services are hiring that architect to do all of those studies. And they said that may or may not be the architect that you use as you design a school, but for what you're hiring now, it's the person who will do all the studies of your current capacity. They'll look at your enrollment, they'll look at your current buildings, and come up with the best solution for, I wrote it down because it was good terminology. A proposal that will move the district forward, be sustainable in our district, and those were the highlighted notes I took on that. But I thought that was important that they were willing to say those things to us, that they will evaluate what we have now. And, when we put this on the web, and you guys can all look at it and learn it and love it, you'll see these big orange bars. Those are like major landmarks in the timeline. And the first one, which is multiple steps from now, is a site approval. So that will be the first big thing where we have to go back to the Board of Education to get that approved. The State Board of Education apparently is involved in that step.
What's the timeline to get to that?
It's a long time. We don't have a timeline to get to that step, but we did talk about a timeline today to get to step number 13. Because step number 13 is the local referendum where we would vote, the communities in total would vote on the plan that has been developed in steps 1 through 12. So during all of these steps, there are all of the public meetings, there are all the studies. There's the site selection process, which will involve public meetings. There are design meetings and concept meetings. There are more scheduled second public hearings. There's a concept approval by the State Board of Education. And then after that, you go to local referendum, where your communities have to vote on authority to bond the project, which is where, we would have to bond, the state would pay us back. And then they're approving the concept and the location and all of that. So that, they said, would be likely in 2021. Sorry, that was a long way to get to that answer. But they said likely March or June of 2021, where we would be looking at a local referendum. So that's a long time, it seems, to get to step number 13. And they said after that, things will go very fast. It might be that from step 13 to the end takes less time than everything leading up to it. So the planning is what takes the time and what should take the time, really. It's not the construction of whatever happens that takes all the time. It's the planning to make sure we get the right thing
So a year and 4 months, 5 months.
of planning.
Actually, I don't think that doesn't feel very long.
It doesn't? Oh, good.
No, I thought you were going to say, and we'll be dead.
No.
There will be. Like, people will have forgotten why we needed the new school.
No.
No. Thank you. In regard to that, and just to update you, I had mentioned, I think at the last meeting, Scott Brown had suggested that we update our enrollment projections because they are, I think the last one was 15, 16, when the application was filed at the end. So we've engaged an agreement with Rebecca Wandell, who did our last piece there, but she did the work in each of the 3 applications submitted. So she should have that update for us by the end of January. And just to mention, as we work through this process, again, there's 2 of the members, former superintendents, have been involved in several projects. And one mentioned, he's involved in multiple ones where this state fully funded what they selected, and that may be the case for us depending on the community's wants and needs. So anyway.
And lucky for us, we had good forethought a couple of years ago when we received a refund back from the public retirement system. We took $500,000 and set it aside for a construction project. So we have that money set in reserve, and we will use that money for the costs in 1 through 13, because until we can bond for that, we have to be able to pay for those things. So, good job for that board a few years ago who said, we need to set this money aside. And thankfully, the taxpayers agreed when they voted that in at the warrant meeting. But we will have to go and hold a vote, a public hearing, which will be like a warrant meeting, where we have to have a vote to be able to access that money.
So vote by the board and vote by the public.
Yes.
Let's, we have our news from schools next, so thank you. Maybe Dan is the lead.
Yes, absolutely. From Fairfield Primary News, parents from our school recently participated in a survey about Let's Go 5210 with the Foundation for Healthy Communities. We were informed that a member from our school who completed the survey was randomly selected as one of 5 lucky winners of a $100 Amazon gift card. And so then as a result, our school will also receive a check for $1,000 to be used on activities, and the teachers are talking about utilizing it for outdoor activities on the playground. In November, Fairfield Primary held their annual food drive for the food pantry in Fairfield, and students collected food items, and our friends from the Interfaith Food Pantry came to the school to pick up the great variety of items donated. Our partners at KVCAP recently were awarded an AmeriCorps grant, and Fairfield Primary as well as Albion Elementary now has a first for AmeriCorps member providing an extra hand to our pre-K classrooms. The first for AmeriCorps members provide direct support to children within a classroom, reducing the child ratio, adult to child ratio. And the American Corps members receive specialized training to support the social emotional development in children. They serve collaboratively in classrooms with Educare Maine and KVCAP staff in Central Maine communities. They support the recruitment and training of future volunteers. In turn for the service, they receive a living allowance for full-time or part-time service, healthcare coverage, child care assistance or reimbursement for child care, The Siegel Education Award to be used for college tuition, student loan payments, or it can be gifted to a child or grandchild, as well as professional development training. As I understand it, KVCAP still has a few openings for other interested people in our community, such as retired individuals or individuals interested in trying on a new profession or looking for employment. So if anyone is interested, please visit the Educare Central Maine website for more information, and then perhaps we can have someone placed in Clinton as well. In Albion news, recently we held a family literacy night in Albion that I told you about. 80 people were in attendance, which included a simple supper, literacy activities, and a book swap. On the exit slips, parents asked for more events like the one we planned, and they even requested the book swap at more events. Special thanks to our teachers, of course, and our kitchen staff, especially Kay Sinclair, who cooked for us. It was nice to see families talking together while enjoying the meal in each other's company. On November 21st, we held our first honor roll tea in Albion to celebrate the hard work of our students for quarter one honors, high honors, and perfect attendance. And finally, our PTA in Albion wanted me to share that when we held our book fair recently, the PTA sold approximately 379 books, which equaled 68,221 voluntary reading minutes, which is equal to placing 3 books in the hands of every student. And that's my report. Thank you.
So I have some news I'd like to, going back earlier, November, and bringing up today. Back on November 11th, and we did share this on the Facebook page if you got a chance to see it, but the Fairfield Masonic Lodge, they do the Bikes for Books, and they've been doing that for several years. But they reached out and wanted to work with Amanda Delory, our librarian, and tried to kind of increase some of the books that we have specifically around U.S. history. So last year they gave us some money and we were able to purchase those books, so they kind of want to do a follow-up article on that. So on November 11th, members of the lodge visited our school. They saw the U.S. history books that were purchased from that donation, and they also observed a lesson with 6th graders on the importance of engaging in nonfiction reading. In addition, the Masons donated another $1,000 to our library, which Mrs. Glory plans to use to continue to update the nonfiction section of the library. So we're very thankful for all the wonderful work they're doing in our community. I want to give you an update on our attendance. I just pulled together Teresa pulled my attendance data for me, and I won't go through all the full breakdown, but as you know, we're shooting for like a 97% goal. And we're really working hard our teachers are really engaging their families to get those students here every single day. Our attendance did drop in November to 95.68%, which was a drop from the previous month by like a 0.5%. So we're still working on it. And as recently as today, I was able to meet with a parent who, we had a child who's considered chronically absent, and there's so many reasons why that happens, and we're very careful not to jump to conclusions. We want to be supportive, and because there are a lot of underlying issues, anxiety, sometimes there are other issues going on. So it really takes the teachers, the guidance counselors, Mrs. Blaze and myself, and many others to really support families and work together as a team. So we're working hard at that, and I'll give you an update in another month. And then the last thing I'd like to share is our robotics team. They did go to Spruce Mountain and competed. So we had 15 students, 6th graders. This was on Saturday, November 23rd. And I was able to make it out there with my own children and observe it, and it's just wonderful what they're doing. There are many, many teams competing. We were very close to making it to the States. I think we made us like an alternate team, and then all the spots filled, so they're not going to be invited to it. But regardless, they did great work, and there's many components to the competition. The actual robotics portion of it is just a small fraction of the whole piece. But when it came to the programming, we were on one of the top 10 teams. I think we were in 10th place, actually, which kind of blew us away. And their teams that practice all year long, they have a really small window to prepare our students. And then the last thing I just want to mention, our MEA scores. I am digging into those, and I have a team doing that. And I have one particular teacher I'd like to recognize. Carolyn Bridges, a 3rd grade teacher. Her students were in both subjects were above 70% of our students met. And there's a lot of great things going on, so we're spending time working together, figuring out what those things are. And as many other teachers do a wonderful job too, but I just wanted to recognize her hard work. So thank you.
Out in Clinton, Mrs. Greenlaw's classroom wanted to thank Dr. Ruff's orthodontist office in Waterville. They host a collection every fall and choose classrooms in the area to donate items to. They actually came to the school to deliver the supplies and talk about what they do in their office. And the kids obviously loved that, and they had a blast looking at all their new treasures. So thank you to Dr. Ruff's office. It's always nice to see what our youngest students are doing. So this is an example of their pizzas in our little pre-K classroom. They've been reading and listening to the story, The Little Red Hen Makes Pizza. So to go along with that, they created these pizzas at their art easel with paint, construction paper, and tissue paper. And they will then be operating a pizza shop in their dramatic play area, and they role play being customers and workers, and they take and place orders for pizzas, and then they make the pizzas and eat the ones that they make by the workers. So they're having a great time with that. Our student council again sponsored their Hats for the Homeless program, and they will be visiting the homeless shelter in Waterville next week, where they will be bringing 64 new hats, 42 pairs of gloves, 4 hand-knitted scarves, 4 pairs of hand-knitted socks, and $88 that was donated in cash donations for that group. So we're very proud of our students for doing that and for the student council for sponsoring that. And last but not least, I know this is pretty far in advance, but Miss Nutting wanted to mention to y'all to save this date because if you're not aware, her first grade classroom does a wonderful play every year at the Williamson Center, and they have decided to do Peter Pan this year. So it will be held on Friday morning, May 29th at 9:30. So if you want to put that early on your calendar, we would love to have anyone attend who is available. It's very amazing to see what she does with our first graders in such a short amount of time. So coming out and do things. Thank you.
I'm sure many of you have wondered what it looks like if you combine the wonderful Wizard of Oz, the musical Wicked, and a Charles Dickens A Christmas Carol, if you combine them. If you come out next Thursday and Friday to the Williamson Auditorium at 6:30, you'll find out from our theater group what it looks like. We're putting on the play A Wicked Christmas Carol next Thursday and Friday under the guidance of Ms. Jalen Casey and assisted by Mrs. Reynolds. That is our first play of the year, so you're all invited to be there next week. In keeping with the holiday spirit, the Junior High Chorus and Band will be holding their holiday concert next Tuesday, December 17th, beginning at 6:30, also in the auditorium. Chorus and Band have been working very diligently preparing for that night. It should prove to be a wonderful time for all who attend. And finally, after a couple of weeks of preseason preparation, our girls and boys basketball teams had their season opening tip-offs tonight. Boys traveled to Waterville while the girls hosted Waterville here. I was able to take in the girls' games, and our 8th grade girls won pretty handily, and our 7th grade girls won by 1 point in the remaining seconds of the game. So we look forward to a good season of good competitions and team building. Thank you.
Dan Bowers, principal at the high school. I've got Haley Hersey, our senior class president and student senate president, to go through our report for us.
So, a couple of different things that have been going on to touch on. So, our speech and debate team, we're mostly speech team, but we're working on expanding into debate. We have been doing really well this season, placing like top. We've won 2 sweepstakes, which means they won the overall competition. A speech competition basically goes where you have different rooms set up in a school. You go in, you either give a speech that you've written, somebody else has written, or you do extemporaneous speaking, which means you have 30 minutes to figure out as much as you can about a topic with any resources you brought with you. Then you have to give a 3 to 7 minute speech on what your findings are, and you give it to a judge, and the judge scores you. So our kids have been doing really great, and they've been placing first in a lot of the competitions. At the sweepstakes that we held here on 11/23, we came in first overall, so that was really exciting. It's the second speech tournament that we've held here, first one this year. Mr. Fawcett and Miss Bellew's life skills program shopped and prepared for Thanksgiving. They served a feast on 11/22. Yearbook Club has been meeting, and we're under a new advisory of Miss Joler, English teacher in the high school. So we're kind of scrambling to try to get a group of kids to be involved because it's a lot of work to put our yearbook together. So we're currently in the act of trying to find people who will purchase ads. So that's exciting in that front. We've also been voting amongst the school for seniors for superlatives, collecting yearbook pictures and asking for quotes and all that to put that together. A lot of groups in the high school are involved with Christmas for Teens program. Specifically, we've received a large donation of winter jackets from Chase Toys and Unity. It's the second year that they've donated for the cause. Additionally, JMG, NHS, and other groups are involved with Christmas for Teens. With NHS, we're actually having our Christmas holiday party tomorrow, where for the past week or so, students have been writing letters to kids in the district in the elementary schools. They write a letter to Santa, and then myself and others involved, we take our little colorful markers and reply on pretty paper that says approved by Santa. We reply, we're like, hey, I hope you have a good Christmas. We'll do our best with your wishes, because a lot of them ask for pretty extravagant gifts. And so we make sure not to make any promises. We're like, hope you have a good day. Don't forget to leave out cookies, stuff along those lines. Our goal was $300, but when Miss Hebert and I actually went out, we ended up spending closer to $360 on items for 7 students in the district who needed clothing, hygiene products, and stuff along those lines. We're actually sending a couple more kids out who are personally donating money to purchase some things more along the lines of what they wanted. We have a couple kids who wanted skateboards, books. So we're doing that, and so at our party tomorrow, we're gonna all finish writing letters, wrap up their gifts so they have things to open on Christmas instead of just having it in a box or something. We also ended up being able to purchase some laundry baskets, so we're going to put all of their Christmas gifts inside of that so they can also utilize that within their households. So that will be being done tomorrow. As we can hear, winter sports have begun. Basketball going on today. First game set tomorrow. We're playing here and at Coney, I believe, for boys and girls. In our student senate, we're working to put together a winter carnival because that's been something that people have been talking about for a couple years. So we're thinking either end of February, beginning of March as our target time. We're gauging the students for what they want. We're going to do another food drive because that was really successful with homecoming, having people running out, and we had a huge turnout for that food drive. So we're hoping it'll be some sort of new tradition for the district, especially in high school, where we'll do holiday sweater, who can wear the worst sweater to school type of thing, and do some fun things like that. And try to during the winter time, you have things like seasonal depression and kids not really wanting to go to school. So we're hoping this will also be a pick-me-up, come to school for this really fun week where you can buy hot chocolate, you can have lots of fun and compete with classes. So to get the spirits homecoming week and have potentially a dance, we're gauging what people would think about that. So far it seems like it's something people are interested in, so that's what we're working for organizing on that. Progress reports are closing tomorrow at 8 o'clock, so people have been really struggling to get grades up and final dash, even though it's just progress reports. Especially I know the seniors have been. Everybody's really focused on making their grades go up. The 16th, 17th, and 18th in the auditorium, concerts for Benton, junior high, and high school respectively, so save those dates if you want those as well. History Club has been meeting, and we've figured out that this year's theme is breaking boundaries. So a lot of kids have been meeting in Mr. Duran's room, discussing what type of things that we can talk about that are breaking history, relate to Maine, and to go to the state competition for that. For the high school, to talk about plays again, high school is putting together Les Mis, and so our show is January 16th, 17th, and 18th. And a lot of seniors have been focusing on applying to college. The really exciting and motivational thing that the high school has is our bulletin board by the main office with your little name on it, and anytime you get accepted to a school, you tell guidance, they add your name. You get a t-shirt, it says, ask me where I'm going on the back, I'm going places. So a lot of people are looking forward to that and looking to see where they get accepted to.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA, Section 405-6A, to evaluate the superintendent.
Second.
Moved by Heather and seconded by Kara. Any discussion? Actually, we don't have discussion on executive session. All in favor? 9, 0, 0. Thank you.